What's going on, everyone? Bobbybarks here, and welcome back to my Director of Football Challenge series on FM24. We're picking up right where we left off, where we finished in 4th place with Steve McLaren as our head coach. Steve's done a decent job qualifying for the Champions League, and as you're aware from episode 1, we are just in charge of transfers and staffing. Steve is in charge of team selection and tactics. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on. If we look at the bottom of the table, Brighton have been relegated, so we're going to try and take advantage of that because they've got some decent players. And in the summer transfer window, we're going to hopefully improve this squad so Steve can challenge for the title. He's got 27 points to make up to try and challenge Liverpool and Manchester City. So it's going to be a tough ask for him, but we're going to try and give him the tools that he needs to achieve that objective. I'm going to jump forward now to show you all the ins and outs in the summer transfer window. Okay, just before we moved into the new season, the transfer window obviously opens there. So we made some signings that are classed as the 23-24 season. We managed to bring in Bichiabu from RB Leipzig, 10.75 million. He's a young centre-back, left-footed centre-back that can hopefully come in as a future prospect for the starting 11. And we also brought in Usman Diamande from Sporting Lisbon for 45 million, another centre-back that will hopefully help improve our defensive line. In addition to that, the only major departure was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who went to Tottenham for £44 million. So there's a couple of others down there in Sam Mather and Ethan Ennis that went out. But they're just reserve team players that we just got minimal fees for. So in total, that's everyone that we brought in on the left since we've been the Director of Football here. I think they've been good signings, but we have spent quite a bit of money, £207 million, generating 118 so far. We've done a little bit more business once we transferred over to the 24-25 season. So I'll move across to that now and show you that, and I'll sort it by transfer fees so you can see the big movers and shakers. So here we are. We did manage to take advantage of Brighton going down. We picked up Evan Ferguson for 50 million, which isn't bad. It's a lot of money for a young player, and he is one of those players on this game that can go either way. He'll either be really good or he'll be not so good. He's not really an average player. It's one way or the other with him, really. So hopefully he can come in and be rotated around with Højlund. So we've got two very good strikers there now that can compete for that starting spot up front in Steve's formation. Ivan Frasneda we brought in for up to 42 million. We obviously let Wan-Bissaka go. We needed another right back, so Fresneda's come in to do that. Arda Güler we brought in for 30 million. He was looking to move on from Real Madrid. Real Madrid were happy to let him go. He's a player that can play centre midfield or out on the wing. Another wonder kid young player that can hopefully develop into a very good starting player for us. Gavin Bazunu we brought in from Southampton for 27.5 million. This is a lot of money for him, but we were desperate for homegrown players. We're struggling a little bit with the homegrown quota, so we had to spend a little bit of money to satisfy those regulations. Paul Warner has come in. He's a bit like Güler, 14 million from Bayern Munich. He can play either wing or he can play down the middle. Nicholas Sattelberger is a defensive midfielder. He looks pretty good. We'll have a look at him in a minute. I don't know if people are familiar with him, but 13 million from Rapid Vienna. He looks a very good prospect for the future. And Yunus Musa from AC Milan for 11 million. He's just come in really as a squad player to support when some of those starting players are not available. When it comes to transfers out then, some big news really. We let our best player go. So Bruno Fernandes has gone for £100 million to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia. Didn't particularly want to let Fernandes go, but I need to develop this squad and I needed the money. So Fernandes has gone. He's approaching 30, so he's getting to that age now where I want to move him on while he's high value and try and reinvest that money into developing the squad. Casemiro, likewise, he's gone for 46 million to Al Nassr. He was wrong side of 30, 32 or something like that, so it was good to get a decent value for him, so we can utilise that money back in the squad again. Now, Andre Onana, I didn't really want to let him go, but we are really struggling for the homegrown quota. And 45 million's not a lot of money considering we've spent 27.5 on Bazunu, and I think we spent 65 million on Costa last season. So we've spent, close to 90 million on goalkeepers and only got 45 back. But it is what it is. He wasn't really going to play much. Costa's going to be the number one player there. Scott McTominay's moved on to Southampton for 16 million. Christian Eriksen's moved on to Ipswich for 10 million. And Will Fish has moved on to Southampton for 4.9 million. The rest, again, as you can see, all minimal fees. We have let some players go out on loan, some first-team players. As you can see at the bottom, Bayan Dai, who is the goalkeeper, he's gone on loan to Wolves to try and get some first-team experience in the Premier League. Garnacho has gone on loan to Crystal Palace. Steve weren't really using him. He was kind of going with Rashford and Sancho out on those wings, and now when we're bringing in Gula and Warner that can also play there, I know Garnacho's going to be a good player. I'm not going to move him on permanently at the moment. We'll just let him go to Crystal Palace and again get some first team experience in the Premier League. Harry Maguire has gone out on loan to Reading. We couldn't shift him as much as I wanted to shift him on. I could only move him out on loan. Ahmad Diallo has gone to Blackburn on loan. And Mason Greenwood, as you know, doesn't spend any time in Manchester United's colours in the game. He's got pre-arranged loan deals until his contract expires with Getafe. So, what does the squad look like? So this is how I kind of see Steve lining up. This is the formation that he'll use. He'll obviously have different roles. He'll obviously pick different players based on those roles. But this is the formation he generally goes with. And he is a little bit spoilt for choice now in the positions that he has. He's got a very good squad, and he's got a youthful squad that can hopefully grow together over the coming months and turn into a real force. So there shouldn't really be any excuses from Steve. He might be a little bit disappointed that we've moved Bruno Fernandes on, because having him in the squad would have been a benefit, but we've managed to bring in some extra players to flesh out and improve the squad overall with that cash. So I'm not expecting any excuses from him. He should be able to improve on his 4th place finish and that 70-point total. So let's see how he gets on in the first half of this season. Our Premier League campaign got off to the perfect start when Mount intercepted a Norwich cross and played through to Marcus Rashford down the left. He cut inside, playing in Højlund, who put a neat finish into the top corner, making it 1-0 to us on the 35th minute. And Højlund doubled our lead from a throw-in when Mount played Sancho in, who put Højlund through, making it 2-0 just before the break. Norwich clawed one back on the 72nd minute when Gabriel Serrad danced around the Man United defence and put it through the legs of Costa. However, the score remained 2-1 and Steve picked up 3 points on the opening day of the season. The Champions League didn't get off to the best of start with a home game against Paris Saint-Germain, and a defensive error by Rashford let Sané through, who smashed the ball past Costa to make it 1-0. And in the 76th minute, Mbappe was just playing around down the left-hand side, putting inside for Kolo Muani to make it 2. And not a single shot on target for us during the game. Following the defeat to Paris Saint-Germain, we managed to get a 4-0 win away at Molde. However, things didn't improve thereafter. A home tie against Benfica should have seen us picking up all 3 points, but when Bar got the ball on the right and chipped it into the top left-hand corner after 13 minutes, and then following a cheap free kick, a through ball to an unmarked Mario made it 2-0 on 46 minutes. And there was a consolation for us on the 70th minute when Højlund played in Rashford, who put the ball back across to Gula, making it 2-1, and we picked up our second defeat of the Champions League group phase. Further defeats followed when we lost 1-0 away at Lazio, 2-0 away at Bayern Munich, and 2-0 away at Porto. Things in the league weren't going to plan either, as the bogey team West Ham also delivered another defeat to us. Pablo Fornals opening the scoring after 50 minutes. And then on 68 minutes, Paqueta's low drive managed to beat Costa, making it 2-0 to West Ham. And although we managed to pull one back following some neat little play down the right hand side, Kobbie Manu's deflected shot made it 2-1 with a few minutes to go. However, a corner from Ward-Prowse was met by Alvarez and it was 3 to West Ham, and Steve was starting to struggle. The 3-0 defeat to Manchester City didn't help matters, and we were soon to play them again in the Carabao Cup. And we didn't get off to the best of starts after just 2 minutes when John Stones fired a left-footed shot past Bazunu. Again, another corner came in, was met by John Stones, and he doubled Manchester City's lead with his second with a fine header as he towered above everybody. And on the 40th minute, Phil Foden just danced around the Manchester United defence and made it 3-0. And that wasn't it. Before half-time, the ball cannoned back off the bar to Erling Haaland, who made it 4-0. And the second half started off pretty much in the same way as the first half, when 2 minutes in, Erling Haaland made it 5 with his second of the game. There was no response from us, and we crashed out to the Carabao Cup to our arch-rivals. And then league leaders Chelsea smashed us 3-1 at Stamford Bridge, and Steve McLaren is now under pressure. Well, it's not good, is it? I know he's only 3 points off 4th place, so there's a chance that he can jump up back into the Champions League spots, but he's still 14 points off Chelsea, who have moved into a strong position. Liverpool have fallen away, who were challenging Manchester City last season. They're only a point in front of us, and we've got a game in hand. Newcastle are interestingly down in the relegation spots. This is the team sorted by average rating, and Marcus Rashford is clearly the best player that we've got. Evan Ferguson's up there, but he's only made 4 starts. He's obviously been going with Højlund, and Mason Mount is our third best player there. Kobbie Mainoo's made 13 starts. He's been doing all right. Højlund's got 12 in 24. That's won every other game. Not too bad. And Paul Warner, when he's been playing, has done pretty well. So this is Nicholas Sattelberger that I promised to show you. He's got very good physicals for a 20-year-old. He's worth between 46 and 67 now, considering we only picked him up for 13 million. And I think his technicals and mentals will improve over time. His physicals will continue to improve as he gets older. Only 20 years old, and the media are describing him as a wonder kid. I think he's going to be a very important figure for this squad in the long term, so I'm really pleased that I picked him up for the value that I did. He's got 4.5-star potential ability, and if Steve can continue using him, I think he's going to be a real talent for this team. But what do we do about Stevie McLaren? He's won 1 game in 8. And within those 8 games, he's been spanked by Manchester City 5-0. We've lost to Porto. We lost to Manchester City again 3-0. Drawing at home to Fulham. Alright, he's got a good draw at home to Arsenal. And a good 5-2 home win against Nottingham Forest. Picked up a decent point away at Liverpool. But it's not been good. He's got 2 important games here against Norwich and Nottingham Forest. We have to get through the FA Cup 3rd round. Otherwise, I think it might be time for a change. We can't continue with this kind of form. We're struggling in the Champions League. We've got home games against Legia and Club Bruges. But overall, his performance in the Champions League has been pretty abysmal, only winning 1 in 6 and losing 5. And I get he's had some tough games. You know, he's had to go to Porto, Bayern Munich and Lazio. There's some tough games to get through away from home. He's lost all 3 of those, but he's also lost the home games to Benfica and Paris Saint-Germain. Paris, I can half understand, but we shouldn't be losing at home to Benfica. That's not a good result. So with 2 games to go, he's 4 points off qualifying for the playoffs. He's got to win both games. He should win both games, but will he still be in charge come those final 2 Champions League games? Jump forward a little bit and see. I'll be honest, it's not going well for Steve. He's had a couple of good wins, a home win 3-1 against Norwich and an away win 2-0 at Everton, but we've also lost away to Leeds, and we've crashed out of the FA Cup to Nottingham Forest, drawing 1-1 at home and then losing 3-1 away. I think it's time for a change. I think we need to move Steve on. It's not working out. He's regressed. He's not improved. I've given him all the tools that he needs to be successful, and he's not delivering. I think it's time to sack Steve McLaren. The trouble with sacking Steve McLaren is that we've got to try and find somebody else to come in and lead this team. And looking through the available coaches, assistant managers, and managers, there is not a lot of choice. Roy Hodgson stood out as a favourite to come in and lead the team towards the end of the season. However, he only wants to be a scout wherever he goes next. And at 77 years old, I can't really blame him. But I've been through this list of available people in great detail, and I have managed to find one person who has the stats, I think, that can lead this team between now and the end of the season. And that man is Angelo Carboni. He's never been a manager, coach or assistant manager before, but he has been a scout, a director of football, and he is currently the head of youth development at Udinese. So his lack of experience is a bit of a worry, but his statistics are off the charts. He has 20 working with youngsters, 15 tactical, 16 tactical knowledge. He has 16 and 17 in judging player ability and potential, 15 people management, 16 motivating and 17 determination, as well as 15 adaptability. So he can come straight in and adapt to the Premier League and being a head coach for Manchester United. The only downside is he plays the same formation as Steve, which is a little bit of a worry. I wanted somebody to be a bit more adventurous, which his is playing mentality, to be fair. His style of playing mentality is adventurous, but his pressing style is less often. It's a bit of a worry for the Premier League because you kind of need to press people. It's a fast-paced environment as the Premier League. So this guy's style might be better suited to Italian football, but he's in talks to become our new head coach, and I kind of just want to see how it goes between now and the end of the season. And if he does very well, we can hopefully keep him for the long term. So Angelo Carboni is going to take over from Steve McLaren as our new head coach. So it was goodbye to Steve McLaren and hello to Angelo Carboni. I shed a little tear for Steve, but not for too long. When on Angelo's first day in employment, the first thing we did was send him off to learn English. Carboni's first game in charge saw us go behind Tottenham Hotspur with a curling free kick from Heung-min Son on the 52nd minute. However, this is a different Manchester United side under Carboni, and Fresneda picked up the ball on the right-hand side with a lovely crossover, Ferguson rising above everybody and nodding it past his former teammate to give us a share of the spoils. Back-to-back 5-1 wins against Legia Warsaw and Club Brugge helped us qualify for the next round of the Champions League. So a few more transfers to tell you about in January. First being, we brought in João Felix from Atletico Madrid, 23 million. He'll hopefully go into the starting 11. Very technical, capable, world-class player that can hopefully improve the starting 11. Mamardashvili, goalkeeper, 50 million from Valencia. To be honest, I feel like I've had my pants pulled down a little bit, but there was a problem with Costa and we needed a goalkeeper that wouldn't drop off in ability too much. And in hindsight, probably shouldn't have sold Onana, but needless to say, Mamardashvili is a very good goalkeeper as well and a young goalkeeper, so hopefully he can stick around and improve this squad. Theo Hernandez is another one to tell you about. He'll hopefully be a starting player under Carboni's remit. He is a world-class French left-back, can also fill in at centre-back if needed. And then for 6.75 million, we brought in Vincenzo Pizarro from Colo Colo, who I'll show you in a minute. He looked really good, but we'll show you that in a second. Malachi Sharp is the only one that left for any fee, £105,000 to Blackburn. A couple of loans also went out from the reserves/youth team. Pizarro, look how good this kid is. He's already worth between 45 and 54 million, 22 years old, 13 caps for Chile. He's a deep-lying playmaker that can play DM or centre midfield. Has the player traits of dictating tempo and stopping play. He's only 5'8", he's left-footed, but his mentals are brilliant. 16 positioning, teamwork and vision, work rates 15, decisions 17, composure 15 and anticipation 15. He has pretty good physicals, still only 22 like I say, so they should improve, but his stamina is 16 and his natural fitness is 15. pretty strong for a little fella. 13 strength despite being 5'8". Passing's 14, tackling and technique both 13. First touch 14. He looks like he's going to be very promising. The media are describing him as an elite midfielder, and he's a model citizen who is also intelligent, with personality and player styles that I like to look for. He's going to be a very good player for us, I think, providing the head coach uses him. So I've shown you the 3 games that Carboni's been in charge for already. 1-1 home draw with Tottenham, and then 2 5-1 home wins against Legia and Club Brugge in the Champions League phase. So he's got off to a decent start, unbeaten so far. Could have done with beating Spurs in the league though. His first game in February is against West Ham, which was Steve McLaren's bogey team. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. And we're still awaiting for the draw of the next round of the Champions League. But it's going to be tough. Let's see how Carboni gets on for the rest of the season. Carboni's first game after the January transfer window was a home tie against West Ham United, which was Steve McLaren's bogey team, and the bogey continued to bounce back after a deflected shot from Kudos fell to Inacio, who nodded past Diego Costa, giving West Ham the lead on 10 minutes. But 15 minutes later, there was some nice play from the back, with Marcus Rashford falling down, but Gula playing in Hoyland and him putting it past Areola to make it 1-1. And 10 minutes into the second half, Marcus Rashford found Hoyland again, who doubled his tally for the game and gave us a 2-1 lead. And then in the 91st minute, I thought Musa had a penalty, but West Ham didn't know what to do with the ball after it wasn't given, and after it cannoned round the box for a little bit, it fell back to Musa, who made it 3-1, and he broke the West Ham United curse now that Steve McLaren has left the club. Things were improving in the Champions League under Carboni too, and despite a 1-0 home defeat against Union Berlin, a 4-0 win away saw us through to the round of 16, where we'd face Liverpool. And just inside the second minute of the tie, Mount found Theo, who played the ball back across the box to Sancho, who tapped it in. Liverpool bounced back though when Gomez was unmarked at the back post from a free kick, and it was 1-1 after 18 minutes. However, on the 37th minute, there was some hard work by Sattelberger and Mainu in centre midfield, and Ferguson passed it to Anthony, and from 20 yards out, he smashed the ball into the top corner, and we were back in the lead. However, on the 69th minute, there was a bit of a defensive downfall when world-class keeper Diego Costa passed it to Cody Gakpo, who just placed it into the empty net, and it was 2-2. And then in stoppage time, a long ball from Diego Costa found Anthony, who run down the right-hand side of the pitch and crossed it in to forgotten man Donny van der Beek, who gave Manchester United a 3-2 win over Liverpool in the Champions League round of 16. But then we got absolutely spanked at Anfield in the return leg and crashed out of the competition. 3 shots with only 1 on target to their 23 shots with 10 on target. Despite crashing out of the Champions League, we bounced back with victories in the Premier League against Burnley and Leicester. However, a home tie against Manchester City was too much to handle. We only won 1 of our remaining 4 games, and ironically that again was against Liverpool with a 3-2 home win, and again the winner coming in stoppage time. Well, if failed to qualify for the Champions League, is finished in 6th place. A 5th place finish would have been enough for Champions League qualification, but he's lost out by a point to Aston Villa and 3 points behind Liverpool in 4th place. We've finished 29 points behind Chelsea. So the gap is widening between us and the league champions. Norwich, Burnley and Wolves have gone down. Not many players to pick from there that'll improve the Manchester United squad. Was kind of hoping something like Palace or Newcastle would go down, to be honest, but didn't happen. So it's going to be an interesting summer. Not sure whether to keep Carboni as the manager going into next season. He's not set the world alight, as you've seen from the results that I've shown you. So going out to his arch rivals Liverpool in the Champions League. Obviously he didn't have any other cup competitions that he could try and succeed in, because Steve had been knocked out of the FA Cup and the League Cup. But yeah, losing to Liverpool's not good. They weren't the team that they were last season. Like I said, they only finished 3 points above us in the league. But losing 3-1 at home is not good, considering we got that 3-2 win away at Anfield. So yeah, difficult one to take, really. And then not qualifying for the Champions League. He's been a bit inconsistent. Will he improve next season if we give him a pre-season in charge? Not quite sure. I think it depends who's available manager-wise, coach-wise over the summer. But we'll have a look at it and we'll come back and show you if there's going to be any change. Well, there has been a change. I have brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy as our head coach. Now, for those of you that followed me on my Tottenham save, you'll know that he was my assistant manager there as well, albeit I was doing all the coaching, the tactics and team selection. So it's going to be a bit of a different role for Ruud here on my Manchester United save, where he'll be picking the team and the tactics. Now, interestingly, he was the manager of Brighton when Brighton were relegated. So I didn't realise that until I'd made him the manager. Now, what I like about this is that he's going to use a different formation. It's a formation that I generally use when I'm playing this. So he's going to play the 4-1-2-2-1 wide with the wingers. Now, his stats are pretty good. They're not as good as Carboni's, but they're still pretty good. People management 16, motivating 15, determination 17. His attacking coaching is 17, so he can hopefully improve Ferguson and Højlund. 15 working with youngsters, 15 in judging potential and ability, and 12 tactical knowledge. So he's all right. He's got managerial experience both at PSV and in the Premier League at Brighton, and I think he'll do all right. I'm hoping he'll do all right. Now, interestingly, I don't know if you noticed, back on the staffing page, we've also brought back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So he's come back as a coach. So if things don't work out for Ruud, we could always put Solskjaer back in charge. So Ole's stats aren't that bad either. He's got 16 technical and working with youngsters. Decent judging player ability and potential. Tactical knowledge is a bit of a letdown, but he knows how to motivate players. He's very determined, and his people management is 17. So he could come in and do a job. The only downside is it's back to that 4-2-3-1 formation, which I don't think has been working too well with Manchester United. Since leaving Manchester United as the manager before this save started, he's then been to Middlesbrough as their manager, and we've just brought him back as a coach. He was sacked by Middlesbrough in 2024, presumably because he didn't get them promoted to the Premier League. So that is it for episode 2 of this Director of Football challenge here with Manchester United. Not a particularly great season, been a bit of a change. Need to try and improve that squad again over the summer and hopefully bring in some talents that'll improve this starting 11 and take us on to challenge for that title. And hopefully Ruud van Nistelrooy, Manchester United legend, will be the man to do it for us. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.